I'm back now. So I'm back with a very recent story from Canada. I was recently texted by a young man named James, who told me that I had given him life when I asked him how he knew I was the man who saved him. He said, "You swear as much as you do. You can't argue with that here." This guy and his group of friends were camping in Canada. This is a classic college party for everyone. Typical red, plastic vasite tents, horny 20-somethings and a guy-go. Well, maybe the Wendigo being there makes it my kind of party. Over there, come on, get ready. And if you're squeamish when it comes to gore, don't read. The Wendigos are disgusting bastards. I was on my way to Riding Mountain National Park in Canada. It's relatively close to the US-Canadian border, so I decided to go check it out. Connie, a park ranger and old friend, had informed me of the disappearance of some hikers. 2 men in blue jackets entered the park and never came out. Connie told me something smelled bad. I decided to pay her a visit. I went to have a drink with her, and she told me she actually suspected something much worse. I was in the office when she called, so I couldn't say it out loud, but I thought it was a Wendigo. I think they are nesting. I don't know how long they have been in the park, but the activity has been more recent and more habitual. The Wendigo nest. Like the bees, there are those that stay to watch the hive, and those that go to pollinate flowers. Only instead of pollinating flowers, they kidnap unwary campers. Sometimes the Wendigo do them the favor of eating them, sometimes not. Either way, the Wendigo wins now. Well, if they are nesting, then they have a stable food source and a monarch in the national parks from north. Like this, Wendigos are actually a more common problem than you think. Most of the time there are 1 or 2, and they kill deer, elk, or the occasional bear, and they don't come into contact with humans. But there are some Wendigos that are more ambitious and they become monarchs. Killing and eating your own kind is a taboo in our culture. But if a Wendigo can do it, it is a sign of strength. Coney had been keeping an eye on the Wendigo population in the park. They were under control, but then summer came. All the activity drove the damned away, and a total of 3 groups of campers have disappeared in the last 5 months. A group of 5 teenagers, the 2 hikers, and a family of 3 were all missing. They were all dead, no doubt. But I agreed to go anyway. I told Coney I would look for the missing campers and that I would be careful. But I wasn't going to be bothered if they were still alive. I wouldn't be for long. What I was going to do was find the nest and destroy it, as well as kill every last Wendigo in it. He took me into the park, to the area where he said the missing hikers were, and left me to search as he walked through the deep woods. The sun was beginning to set. But even in the dim light I could see the telltale signs of a Wendy's presence, pools of blood and chunks of flesh. Wendigos can't digest food. They are eternally hungry. They eat, but can't process prey, so they vomit up the remains. Those puddles were the aftermath of a Wendigo. After a good snack, I knelt down to examine the puddle and found clumps of hair and a singular yellow eye. It seems the Wendigo ate a wolf as I kept walking. I heard voices. I crept up to the source of the noise and looked out from the brush towards a camp. There was a large bonfire, and the smell of grass hung in the air around the fire. There were 5 kids. 2 girls and 3 boys were joking and laughing as if nothing was happening. Even though they had entered into Wendigo territory, the fire was probably the only thing keeping them at bay. It must have been the missing 2-year-olds. They weren't missing yet. Not just high and with 1,000 devils luck pass me. The grass yelled a pink-haired girl from the other side of the fire. A burly guy with a beard and curly hair threw the bag at her, but the throw fell short, and her prize bag landed in the fire. "Save the grass," yelled one other girl with piercings that glimmered in the firelight. He poured water into the well, and it went out. The only thing that kept them safe. It was all gone to save a herb. It's guess your guardian angel didn't help you this time. Andy, someone told the guy who had taken the herb. He doesn't help with basics like that. Andy said. They still had no idea what was about to happen. I ran out of the grove. I lit a flare and threw it towards the group. I covered my eyes and heard a shriek. When I looked back, I could see the 5 children huddled together, and almost above them, bathed in the red glow of my flare, was a Wendigo. I still had the remains of a sea axe on his back. I guess that clears up one of the hikers. So what? "What's that?" I heard one of the girls scream. I pulled my gun out of my boa and fired 3 shots at the Wendigo. The bullets burst into flames on impact, and the creature began to scream. I stuck 2 more incendiary bullets into the chest of the Wendigo, who fell back, writhing and convulsing. I walked over and pulled my knife out of the sheath. The tough skin was already weakened by the fire, and creatures do better in the cold. I stuck the knife in the heart, and all the monster's muscles seemed to music tense. I turned and faced the kids. They seemed more scared of me than the bastard I had taken down. Andy, I changed my mind. The pink-haired one said I'm not an angel, just a hunter. I said, reloading my gun, a guy with pink hair, brown up to the shoulders. He looked me up and down. "You don't look like a hunter, man, and you at that thing. Like you know how to do it. Basically, you have a handheld flamethrower, for God's sake." He pushed his glasses up on his face. "Make a new fire and stay close to it. They won't attack if you get the fire big enough," I said abruptly. "Wait, man. You know a lot about this stuff, right?" asked the tallest of the group. He towered over them and me. "Yes, but I don't want a tag team. Especially you 5 of them stood together and looked me in the eyes. Whether you like it or not, we're going with you. We're safe with you," he said, Pinky laughing at that safety, and my job are not compatible. And if I'm not safe, they're not safe either. But where I'm going, there's more. To be honest, I didn't take time to learn their names, James told me. After the fact, I just attributed to the boy. The first thing that came to my mind, Pinky, was Allie Bird, was Andy Glasses, was Mike. To Guy, was Jay, and Piercings, was Jay. So we set off. I gave them a flare, each, and told them to light it. When I told them to, I lit mine, and they stayed, stuck to my ass. As I walked through the woods, I followed the pools of blood visible by the moonlight, reflecting off them. We eventually stumbled upon the entrance to a cave, the perfect place to nest of Wendigo. I pulled out my crossbow and looked through the peephole. The cave opened into a huge chamber, dimly lit by the moonlight. We snuck in and were greeted by the stench of rotting flesh. "How disgusting," Jess whispered behind me. "Stay low." And silently I whispered fiercely as we took shelter. "Adela killings are like mother birds." Really fucking, the Wendigo closed its mouth on the man's. Soon everything that filled the cavern were the gurgling of the man and the screams of his family. "What the hell is going on?" James said. "The monarch is going to begin the gestation process," I replied. "Uncle, who the hell are you pregnant these things?" "Hiss, Andy. Scared, shut your mouth. Beer." I said. Verdi said behind me, "Mike, you too have a beard because I am..." Before he called me Glasses. "You just have to go with him, I guess." "Mike," he whispered. I didn't even bother to tell them to shut up. I was watching the Wendigo monarch. Killing the monarch would lead the nest to anarchy. Wendigos that are turned by another Wendigo are linked. This alpha had turned a total of 4 people. I killed one, and there was another holding the man that the monarch was feeding what was left of one. I turned and pulled my gun from the holster, and my knife from the sheath. We were missing one Wendigo, and it was coming outside. Follow me now and the people you captured. Mike said, "What about them?" "We can't help them, but I can save you." 5. Now move. I said I led the group back through the tunnel straight to the Wendigo. He growled at me, and I stabbed him 4 times in the chest. I jumped forward and plunged my knife deep into his heart, through the weakened skin. The Wendigo heard the shot without a doubt. I told them to run out of the cavern. They didn't need to see what I was doing. I reached into my backpack and pulled out a CA4 brick. I stuck it to the cave wall and went out into the open air. "That's an explosive." "Who are you?" yelled Jess, raising her hands. "It's not important," I said as I went to blow up the charge, trapping the Wendigo inside. "Wait, Mike is there," yelled James. "My brother is not here." I sighed and ran back into the cavern with my gun ready, looking into the gloom. I saw the red glow of Mike's flare across the cavern as he tried to free the prisoners. He waved the flare back and forth, keeping the 2 Wendigos at bay, carrying a child in one arm and a woman following close behind with glasses. "You damn imbecile, come here." He roared at the sunken white figures chasing Mike. A Wendigo managed to cut Mike's ankle as he staggered, bleeding. He threw the flare behind him, handed the woman her child, and pushed her forward, still limping from the leg wound. He ran to me and out of the cave. Mike was still limping on his one good leg. When the bastards came to him, he grabbed him. They grabbed his legs and pulled him down with their claws, peeling the flesh below his knees. Mike screamed, and his glasses fell on the rough floor. The 2 Wendigos pulled Mike up and ripped open his stomach. The bastards started eating. Mike, while he was still alive, his screams turned to gurgling as they tore his throat open. I turned and ran out of the cave, cursing as I came out. I charged, crushing the Wendigos I caught, and regained my breath. James came up to me, and I just shook my head. We left that park. With 120-something less, he stayed to help 2 strangers and died so they could live. I'm not going to give you all a speech about morality. I'll just tell you now. Mike was a hero. I'm not one, but he is. But if being a hero means being eaten, I live for a Wendigo. I will continue to be a moral piece of, and to all the comments thanking me. If you want to thank someone, give them to Mike for saving a woman and her son, and to James for telling me to share the story of his brother. I'm just doing my job. You don't thank the garbage man. And that's what I am, the garbage man. Supernatural H.